The escape pod tumbled through the void like a dying star, its hull breached in 17 places. Inside, Kira pressed her four-fingered hands against the cold metal wall and tried not to think about the oxygen gauge spinning toward empty. The battle above had been brief and brutal. Her science vessel had been caught between two warring fleets, shredded by weapons never meant for civilian craft. She was Velani, a species known across 3 spiral arms for their fragility. Her people were scholars, philosophers, keepers of ancient knowledge. They were also prey. Evolution had shaped them with soft skin, delicate bones, and reflexes too slow to matter when predators came calling. 17 other species had tried to conquer Velen Prime in the last 2 centuries alone. Only the protection of the Galactic Council kept her homeworld from becoming a footnote in someone else's history. The pod shuddered. Kira checked the readouts with trembling fingers. She had maybe 4 hours of air left, and the nearest Council outpost was 6 days away at maximum drift. The distress beacon pulsed weakly, but she harbored no illusions. This sector was contested space, and whoever found her first would likely finish what the battle had started. 3 hours later, the pod lurched as something massive locked onto it with a tractor beam. Kira's twin hearts hammered against her ribs. She pulled up the external cameras and felt her blood turn cold. A human warship, the vessel was enormous, bristling with weapon arrays that could crack planets. Humans had appeared in Council space only 40 standard years ago, emerging from a previously uncharted region with faster-than-light technology they refused to explain. They were bipedal deathworlders from a nightmare planet they called Earth, where everything evolved to kill everything else. Gravity twice what most species could tolerate. An atmosphere so oxygen-rich it was practically combustible. Oceans filled with creatures that hunted by electrical impulse and sound, but worse than their world was their nature. Humans were apex predators who had clawed their way to the top of their food chain by being more vicious, more cunning, and more relentless than anything else on their planet. They could run prey to exhaustion over days. They healed from wounds that would kill most species. Their forward-facing eyes were designed for tracking fleeing victims. Even their teeth told the story. Omnivorous cutting and tearing, implements that spoke of a species which would eat literally anything. And they were always hungry. The Velani archives contained reports, documented incidents. 3 Velani traders who had disappeared near human space. The Council investigators had found nothing, but everyone knew. Humans had a reputation in the darker corners of the galaxy. They took prisoners, and those prisoners were never seen again. The pod clanged against the warship's docking bay. Kira backed into the furthest corner, her breath coming in rapid gasps. She could hear heavy footsteps outside, multiple individuals. The external lock disengaged with a hiss. The door opened, and a human stepped through. He was massive, easily twice her height, with broad shoulders and arms thick with muscle. His skin was dark, his hair cropped close to his skull. When he moved, Kira could see the predatory grace in every motion, the controlled power of something built to hunt. His eyes locked onto her and she froze, every instinct screaming that she was looking at something that could tear her apart without effort. "Easy there," the human said, his voice a deep rumble. "My name is David. I'm with the human transport ship Mercy. We picked up your distress call." Kira pressed harder against the wall. Her species had no word for mercy, not in the way humans used it. She had studied their language during her xenolinguistics training. The word came from their ancient texts, from a time when humans had been even more savage, when they had built entire civilizations on conquest and subjugation. Mercy was what a predator granted prey before the kill. "Please," she whispered. "Please make it quick." David's expression changed, his brows drawing together. "Make what quick?" "You're injured. We need to get you to medical." He moved toward her, and Kira bolted, trying to squeeze past him toward the open door. She made it 3 steps before her legs gave out. The battle trauma, the stress, the depleted oxygen, all of it caught up at once. She collapsed onto the deck. The human caught her before she hit the ground. Kira thrashed weakly, her training dissolving into pure panic. This was it. This was how she died, in the grip of a human predator, far from home and family. She felt his arms close around her, and she went still, waiting for the pain, the tearing, the end. David lifted her carefully, cradling her against his chest as he carried her toward the door. "Someone get a medical team to Base 7 right now," he said into a communication device. "I've got a Velani female. Possible oxygen deprivation, definitely in shock." Kira's mind struggled to process what was happening. The human's grip was firm but gentle, supporting her weight without crushing her fragile bones. His body temperature was higher than hers. She could feel the warmth radiating through his uniform. And instead of the musk of a predator, she smelled something clean, almost pleasant. The medical bay was bright and sterile. David laid her on a bed designed for human proportions, far too large for her small frame. Another human appeared, this one female with red hair pulled back in a practical style. She had instruments Kira recognized as medical scanners. "Hey there," the female human said, her voice softer than David's, but no less foreign. "I'm Dr. Lisa. You're safe now. Can you tell me your name?" "Kira," she managed. "Okay, Kira. I'm going to run some scans. This won't hurt, I promise." The scanner hummed over her body. Kira watched the 2 humans work, her fear slowly giving way to confusion. They moved with efficiency, but not aggression. Their touches were clinical, professional. When the doctor found the gash on Kira's leg, where a piece of shrapnel had torn through, she cleaned and sealed it with a gentleness that seemed impossible for such large, powerful hands. "You're dehydrated, and you've got some minor radiation exposure from the hull breach," Dr. Lisa said. "Nothing we can't fix. I'm going to start in 4 with fluids and some basic nutrients compatible with Velani physiology. You'll need to stay here for observation for at least 12 hours. Kira stared at her. "You're not going to eat me?" The silence that followed was deafening. David and Dr. Lisa exchanged glances, and Kira saw something flicker across their faces. Pain, maybe. Or anger. "No," David said quietly. "We're not going to eat you, or hurt you, or anything else you're afraid of. But you're human. You're predators. The reports say that Velani who encounter humans alone disappear." Dr. Lisa pulled up a chair and sat down so she was at Kira's eye level. "I know what the reports say, and I know what rumors spread through council space about us. Most of it isn't true. Some of it is old fear dressed up as fact. But you are predators," Kira insisted. "Your whole species evolved to hunt and kill." "Yes," David said, and Kira flinched at the admission. "We did, but we also evolved to cooperate, to form bonds, to protect those weaker than ourselves. Humans aren't simple creatures, Kira. We contain multitudes." "I don't understand." Dr. Lisa smiled sadly. "The same instincts that made us hunters also made us caretakers. Human young are born helpless, completely dependent on adults for years. We evolved to nurture, to guard, to sacrifice ourselves for others. Those 3 Velani traders everyone whispers about? We found them. They'd been taken by Krell slavers. We got them back and returned them to council space. But by then, the rumors had already spread. Nobody wanted to correct a story that made them feel safe." Kira felt tears gathering in her eyes, the silver drops that Velani cried when overwhelmed. "You saved them?" "We did," David confirmed. "And we're going to save you too. The Mercy is a hospital ship. We respond to distress calls in contested regions because council vessels won't risk it. We've pulled 247 beings from disaster in the last year alone. 17 different species. The 4 began flowing into Kira's arm, and almost immediately she felt the difference. Her thoughts cleared, the panic receding. She looked at the 2 humans standing over her, these enormous predators who could snap her like a twig, and saw something she had never expected. Kindness. Why? She whispered. Why risk yourselves for strangers? David was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried a weight of old pain. Because we know what it's like to be afraid. Before we reached the stars, humans spent thousands of years hurting each other. We were predators to our own kind. We did terrible things, built weapons that could end all life on our world. But we also learned. We grew. We decided that just because we could be monsters didn't mean we had to be. Every human carries the capacity for violence, Dr. Lisa added. But we also carry the capacity for compassion. We choose every day which one to feed. Kira let the tears fall freely now. I thought you would devour me. I know, David said gently. And I'm sorry you were that afraid. But I promise you, on my honor as a human and as a member of the Mercy's crew, you are safe here. We will protect you, heal you, and return you to your people. That's what we do. As consciousness began to fade, the sedatives in the IV, pulling her toward healing sleep, Kira understood something profound. Humans were predators, yes, but they were also something rarer and more valuable in a galaxy full of violence. They were guardians who had chosen to use their terrible strength, not to conquer.